Again, thank you for being a part of our Winemaker Interview Series. You are our first guest, so we're very excited.
Wow, great.
Yeah.
That's an honor.
And to tell you a little bit about me and Soodevie, so we have a wine curation company here in Korea. I'm French Korean. And I grew up in the Bordeaux region in France, always surrounded with winemakers. And, it's always great to speak with winemakers, people who actually make the wine. And especially with natural wine, biodynamic wines, there's so many stories. And I wanted to share those stories with, our members and followers and just any wine lovers, really. And so we love your wine, Fedora Wines. And we said, why don't we start with Valter and hear his story and share with our community? So can you tell us a little bit about, Slovenia? Because I think not a lot of people still know about your country, a beautiful country. So if you can tell us a little bit about maybe the history of winemaking, and how beautiful Slovenia is.
Right. So yeah, Slovenia we are independent for the last 30 years. In the past, we've been always part of some bigger government, bigger states. So we passed from Illyrian provinces, which was French governed, to Habsburg monarchy, ex-Yugoslavia, Italy. So we've been all around, but now for the last 30 years we have Slovenia, our own state, and we are very proud of it. Otherwise, Slovenia is like really small country. It's 2 million population, like very, very small, smaller than Seoul. And it's stretched between Italian border, which is Adriatic Sea. We have some of the coast, and goes to the Alps toward. So we are bordering with Italy, Austria, Hungary, and Croatia. So we are saying that we are on the sunny side of the Alps, and with the feet in the sea.
Oh,
so
very
this
nice.
even then influenced. So everything is so cozy here, because in the morning you can go to swim, and then in the afternoon you can be in the Alps and taking a skiing. So it's just great. And we have so many microclimates that then influence wine growing. So in the whole country is one. In fact, we have 3 growing regions, and with some specifics. And this is great for us because we can try different kind of wines in very smaller place of earth where we are.
Right.
The growing in Slovenia of the wine started like many years ago. It was 5-6 centuries before Christ, and during the time of Illyrian people, Celt people living in this area, winemaking was very important in this region during the Roman Empire, because we are almost on the sea, so we have a big port and a lot of wine, and we are close to Rome, so everything, we have a good positions for wine growing. So it was quite a big economy in the Roman times, and then this continued till today. So it was always a tradition in Slovenia to make wine, and even in Slovenia we consider wine as a food. Like Slovenian legislations is saying that wine is a food. So
great.
the taxation are the same as so it's really part of our tradition, and we are trying, not of course all of winemakers, but some of like me and others, we are trying to follow this traditional path that we had in before, like techniques, grapes, varieties that we use in our wines. But of course, you always try to do it a little bit in the different way, modern way than our ancestors did. So it's great country, great location, great opportunities for like really good wines.
So when you say that winemakers like yourself try to maintain that tradition and try to make the wines, produce the wines the way they used to be made before, what is that exactly? I would love to, I think, you know, we say natural wine, and I think it has become all of a sudden, right, something that everyone kind of looks up to, but really it's been a long tradition. And I think one that Slovenia is very proud of and makes beautiful natural wine. So if you can tell us a little bit more about that traditional technique, that'd be really great.
Yeah, it's the same technique that most of natural winemakers are using, and a lot of makers of orange wines are using. So it means that when you, and this is all tradition. My father, my grandfather, always, grandfather, not just mine, always did it in this way. So it means that the white grapes are made in the same way as the red grapes. So when the grapes arrived in the cellar, you know, we never go and just press immediately to make fresh kind of wines. You know, you press this traditional, you know, conventional method. We don't do this. When the grapes arrive in the cellar, we put these grapes. Of course, we go through the process of taking grapes out of the
destemming,
and we put the steaming, and we put the grapes in the big watts, like 1,000 liters, and we leave the grapes to start fermenting. So it's the same procedure like it's done in the red grapes when you do red wines. But we are doing this with the white wines as well. When you macerate, it's when you start fermenting, first measure, because it takes time to start fermentation, of course, especially if you are not using artificial yeasts. And we natural winemakers are not adding anything to the wine. So you have to wait a little bit to start the fermentation. And after the fermentation starts, then depends. You know, some of them, even me with some wines, you leave grapes fermented for 1 month or 2 months. I have a Vitosca that it's fermenting now for stays on the grapes for 1.5 years. So, or you just transfer during the fermentation in more like a controlled environment, which is fermentation tanks, and where you control a little bit of temperature, so you don't get so orange wine. You know,
so you have to check every time, right?
You have to check it
like all the
at
time.
least two times a day.
Okay.
Like all the time checking. So you never, you know, when we say the natural wine, you leave there is no intervention. Of course, there is no intervention inside the wine. You leave that goes their own way, but you have to check it. You have to control. You have to be very strict with to have the clean environment, because if the environment is it's not very, very clean, then you get illnesses. So in a way, you know, natural winemaking is a much harder process than just the classical, like because with the conventional way of winemaking, you can add something, you know, and the wine is more controlled because you add sulfur and you add artificial stuff inside, and you can just relax and wait that the wine is done. But here with the natural wine, you have to be very precise and check everything And what we are using is just the temperature, and we are trying to control with the temperature. Like my grandfather used to open doors during the night, to let the air, the cold air inside, to cool down the fermentation, to slow it down, to keep a little bit of fruitiness still inside the wine. Of course, today I'm using a little bit of help of electricity, so I'm cooling with the electricity. So it's but still, you never intervene into the wine. You always take care of the environment. This is in the vineyard. When you make grape, so it's in the vineyard. It's the same as in the cellar. You preserve the nature, and you make everything that is in your power, that there is a balance in the vineyard, that the nature fight with the nature,
Right. Are you nervous sometimes that it would go wrong? Or maybe the temperature is not right one night and you come back in the morning, check it out. How does that go?
Of course.
All the time, right?
I wouldn't say nervous, because you can expect something like this. You always walk on the edge. You never know where is it going, but that's the beauty of this process, because only if you are like really on the edge, then you get some like really good results. And if something goes wrong, no problem. Of course, I'm not going to sell this wine, but it's a process. The natural state of at the end, it's a vineyard. So it's always wine always try to get somewhere. So you just have to follow the nature, and to be open-minded about this. You always have to consider something like this can happen, and it's nothing wrong with it.
And I think that's why the best natural wines are produced in small quantity, right? There's just so much heart and hard work that goes into it. You can't make a mass production of those wines, and you have to be so close to your environment.
Exactly. Because if you want to be, as you said, close to do what you're making, you have to go with your hands inside and really doing. You can get some help, but you have to be very, very involved into it. And if you with the big quantities, I don't see the possibility to be so involved. And natural wine, in a way, as I see it, is the expression of yourself. It's not just terroir, what is, how the soil is, but it's the expression of how I look the world. So it's you really work. It's kind of almost as an art in a way,
right. And you are the artist.
Even before I worked in theater, in fashion, in movies, as a costume.
That where the idea of the fedora came about? With the, if you can tell us a little bit about that.
It's nice combination, I would say, because it's different energies, but this trying to achieve something out of nothing. It's common with winemaking or with the art, because you have just the idea and then you produce everything from scratch. And the same is with the wine. You have the earth, you have the soil, and you think what to put inside, how to grow everything, and then how to transfer it into the bottle. So for me, it's the same. Of course, different path, but it's the same kind of idea. And I so I like working in South Korea. I did it already with the fashion. I worked with Lotte in school with my fashion that I did years ago.
Oh, wow.
And really, I'm really glad that I'm making now with the wines to be in South Korea.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, what's so interesting about when you said, you know, when I was going through the history of Slovenia too, it's so interesting, the pre and post-war Slovenia and how that really affected the wine industry too. So if you could tell us a little bit about, 'cause I think that was a big switch, being able to produce all these wines with indigenous grapes, and all of a sudden you can't, and you're selling grapes only, but your heart is in the obviously in the winemaking. Yeah. So if you can tell us a little bit about that as well, I think it would be very interesting.
Yeah. So during after the Second World War, Slovenia was part of Yugoslavia, which was communist regime. So after the revolution and the World War finished, all the producers of wine, it was obliged to enter communist cooperatives, which means nobody was allowed to sell the wine per se from the farm. So everything, just grapes going to cooperatives, and these big cooperatives, they sold wine to the customers. So you know, you don't have the private ownership anymore. So it was all around Slovenia the same. And the government at that point, of course, they wanted to produce as many wines as possible. You know, no matter of quality, it's just the quantity. Bigger, better. Right? So all the local varieties, they slowly just went and slowly kind of disappeared. Not completely, but it was diminished. And these new varieties arrived, like Chardonnay, Cabernet Sauvignon, Pinot Noir, so Sauvignon. So all these big French
international grapes,
international grapes that were allowed, like bigger grapes and etc. And but of course, after the 91, when Slovenia got the independence, things changed again, because our local grapes, local and indigenous grapes, because in Vipava Valley, where I'm from, we have a lot of indigenous grapes, which means grapes that grow just in this small region, like Pinela, Zelen, Chedai, Soship, Klarnica. There are many of them. And these grapes are like really adapted to our micro conditions, to our weather, because we have a strong wind and the soil is like really stony, like stones. We have a lot of, it's not so pleasant, you know, it's not a lot of,
it's harsh.
So you need a environment. You need grapes that are like suitable for this environment. And local grapes are great for this. And besides this, they are very good as a wine, like very interesting. And for especially with natural winemakers, this is something that you want to explore. You know, you don't want to go and to have like this many international varieties. You want to try something that fits to the territory where you are from.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, and thank God that the cooperatives are not anymore. I mean, they are still working. It's a lot and important part of the still of Slovenian tradition, because these cooperatives then buys grapes from small producers, you know, that are at work. They work in the factory, you know, till 3-4 in the afternoon, and they go and they make some grapes, and then they sell grapes. So it's still an important thing. But a lot. I mean, for us, it's just good that we can make our own wines and sell it.
Right. Absolutely. On that note, I wanted to have the bottle next to me, but it's right there. Just a second.
Mhm.
It's the Zelen wine, which I love.
Okay, thank you.
I put this,
Really nice.
hopefully the lighting works too, maybe a little bit. I put these lights on it. Oh, it doesn't work anymore. But because we're talking about indigenous grape, and this is, Zelen is one of the wines that we've been really also introducing to people. And it was fascinating for me to taste it. You know, it was a grape that I'm not very familiar with. So it was also my first time having a taste of Zelen. Can you tell us a little bit about, you know, this grape specifically, maybe the label too? There's just so much story about this.
Zelen is the most famous of the indigenous grapes in Vipava Valley, and it's produced not many, but it's the most important. We are like, probably there are 20 producers of Zelen, something like this. And it's as a wine, it's a light-bodied wine in a way, with a low alcohol, which could be like contemporary wine because of the lower alcohol. It's quite aromatic. And somebody is saying that Zelen, the relatives of Zelen are arriving from Italy, because there is one variety in Italy that is close to Zelen, but it was proved that it's not exactly the same. So it's not the same grape, because we are close to Italy. We are 15 kilometers from Italy, and a big part of our history is linked with Italy and with the winemaking processes as well. So Zelen is aromatic, and usually is done in it's made in a very conventional way. So usually most of the producers of Zelen, they are just bringing grapes in the cellar, pressing it, and they are making Zelen as a light, fresh wine. For me, that I like to explore a little bit, and I thought that Zelen is the grape that can be different. So I'm doing it in a different way. So I'm using this old Vipava Valley technique, which means I desteam grapes, and I start fermentation in open vats with the Zelen, so without control of temperature and nothing, for a few days, depends of the year, 5, 3, 7 days, depends, and then goes to the more controlled temperature environment, and finish in big barrels where it's aged for at least 1 year from my side. So we are not many producers that we do Zelen in wood. Usually they make Zelen steel tanks, which I don't like, because I think the wine needs to breathe. So doing it in this way, Zelen becomes like very herbal wine. Like perfect for to use it with the food, with any kind of seafood, with the rice, with the risotto. It's just perfect blending, because it's so herbal and light, and still with the acid, enough of the acid. It's just nice and perfect combination. And it's very different from any kind of wines that you can taste. So has like Zelen has, even internationally, not just now in Slovenia, but internationally, has great success in important restaurants, because chefs just love it, because you can combine the food very nicely with it. But it's great to drink alone as well.
Yes.
I prefer to wine to drink it just like this, just with the friends.
During the day, right? Someday,
Exactly.
day Zelen.
Sometimes you just need this, yeah.
And we actually had it with some Korean food, bibimbap, with all the fresh vegetables and rice and a little bit of soy sauce and sesame oil, and it was beautiful. It really brought out the aromas of the vegetable. So keeping it fresh, but still enough to carry the sweetness of the rice, and it was really wonderful. So we enjoyed it with
Right.
some K food, Korean food.
Nice.
Yeah, that's so
Great,
great.
great. Oh,
Yeah.
maybe just to explain a little bit of the labels,
Yes,
because
please. You work with a lot of
yeah,
artists.
exactly. I work with different artists on the labels, because I think this somehow express who we are as well.
Mhm.
And my wife as well. We are working with artists for all the life, so it was obvious for us to invite our friends artists to help us with the labels.
Mhm.
So all the label, each our wine has particular story behind who we are, or our family history,
Mm.
or what happened in our village, or what happened, or how we make wines. So it depends which label you are looking.
Mhm.
But on the Zelen label,
Mhm.
there
Yeah,
is
just put it down.
yeah, this is pretty sad story on
Right.
Zelen that happened in yeah, it's happened in our village. And
Oh.
it's yeah, it's a part of what happened to my father.
Mm.
He was very friend with one of the person from the village, fellow winemaker as well. He was a winemaker as well. And one day my father passed this friend winemaker, asked him how he is, and he was a little bit strange, didn't respond. And father just continued with his way through the village. But the next person, after 15 minutes, that passed this friend winemaker, was killed by this winemaker. He just
Oh,
lost
wow.
his mind. And my father was very happy that somehow he survived this
Mhm.
in a way. So we invented a story about the hunter and
I
a dog
see.
and one accident that happened. So we are
Ah.
always transforming the reality into something
Now we
is
know
this.
the real
I'm
story.
welcoming
Mhm.
people to go to see our website, Fedora Wines. We have
Absolutely.
all the stories of
Mhm.
yeah, they are connected with the wine. And at the end, we are even putting some playlists, because I believe
Yes.
that listening to the music and sipping some wine, you get like more idea of what kind of wine it is. So I prepared some small playlists for each wine,
Right,
just
we saw
to
that and we
understand.
loved it. There were a few French songs that I recognized. And
Yeah.
did you listen to those songs while you were checking the temperature
Yeah,
of the
no, it's different, because it's like in the art, you express your feelings.
Mhm.
So for me, wine is a kind of art.
Right.
And if you wine somehow express, so you need to give your feelings inside the wine, otherwise wine is just an alcohol,
Mhm.
because most of the part it's alcohol and water, so needs something else. And when I'm describing a wine through the music, I'm trying to listen as much as possible different composers and everything, And this feel that I get from the music, then I'm doing the playlist and saying, okay, this is the feel of the wine in a way. So it's not about what I was listening during when I did wine. It's more about the expression of this wine.
No, that's really great. We actually, when we had our first glass, we listened to the playlist.
Great, nice.
We wanted to feel the same vibe, right? Your creation. So we really, really like that. Okay, Valter, we have a few more minutes. It's already been almost 30 minutes, but as a last note, I wanted to touch upon this. Slovenia has this beautiful long history of just making wine in the most natural, environmental friendly way. And I thought it was so timely and so relevant that Slovenia is one of the most environmental friendly countries in the world. I believe you said second in Europe. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with the lifestyle of Slovenians and also how winemakers would produce their wine. So if you can talk a little bit about that and maybe say a few words to how you would like Koreans, but also wine drinkers across the world, to remember your wines. How would you like them to remember your wines and your Slovenian wines?
Okay, first maybe to say something about Slovenia as a region. Yeah, we are the second most green country in Europe after Finland. We have a lot of woods. So we call ourselves that we are a green country, which is in fact, it's true. It's not just that we are environmental friendly, but we have a lot of woods, a lot of water, a lot of sun. So all the conditions are here. Slovenians, regarding the lifestyle, somehow Slovenians are very, very keen of the country. And when you have a lot of population doing this, then you are more concerned about the environment, because when you go outside, you want to see nice things. You don't want to see like ruined industry halls and everything gray and dirty. So you want to feel, that's why you go and to recreate in yourself in this environment. So I think Slovenians are quite conscious about environment. Of course, we want to be conscious even more. Hospitality is like very high in Slovenia, I think. We welcome foreigners. We like people to come to Slovenia to taste our wine, food. We have great tradition, not just in wine, in food as well, because there are a lot of small producers doing things in a more natural way, not like, because we are a small country, we don't need, extremely big factories.
You don't need to mass produce.
To produce food. Exactly, we don't need. So we have everything here in Slovenia. That's why we preserved this environment. And I think everything this influence what we do and what we are. Absolutely. Even if I go to Fedora wines, of course we want I want and my wife we want wines to be natural, to be expression of terroir, of this small place where we are, and we want to do it in a way that we will keep it for our sons, for the future. We don't want to explore too much the soil and everything. We want to keep it for it's not the point to make now, like, I don't know, 110,000 tons and tons and tons of wine and mass production. That's not the point. The point is to preserve what we have, to try to make it even better, yeah, to continue this this path. And I want our wines to be through the labels, through what we do, how we are, a little bit of funky in a way. You know, we have these marvelous pet nuts, two of them.
Yes.
Rebola, Riesling Italico from Refosca. So some strange combination that you don't expect, and this is something that we love. You know, we really love to explore, and our wines are like somehow wines to explore. You know,
right. And we look forward to tasting all your creations and explorations of the Pava Valley wines.
I hope I will have the opportunity to come in flesh to South Korea.
Yes.
To have some more like some bigger degustation and presenting some different wines that I have, because we are somehow, we started, I took over the farm in 2015 and we are on the market now for the 2 years and we are just progressing. You know, I don't want to push things. So some grapes, they've been not ready for wine. I was not satisfied yet, was not bottled yet, but now they are bottled. So each year I'm presenting something new that I feel that it's ready and adequate for the market.
That's great. And we will be, I mean, I would love to host you whenever, you know, you can come to Korea. And I think it's really taking off. You know, Koreans are so interested in exploring different kinds of wines, which I think is very timely for your wines too. So we look forward to keep introducing your beautiful wines, including Zelen. And hopefully we will meet in Korea or in Slovenia.
Or in Slovenia, exactly.
Yes, I want to go. Please stay there. I want to go.
You have to.
I need nature. I need nature in my life. And I just miss, you know, being surrounded by vineyards and grapes and just enjoying a glass in the middle of beautiful nature with great food and people. I really miss that. So I will go, Valter.
So you have to come.
Okay. Well, Valter, thank you so much again. You know, for accepting to be the first guest in our winemaker interview series. We will have this up really soon, so I'll let you know when that's up. Yeah, and thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.